Okay, hello everybody. Today we're here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 in JustFlight's Piper Arrow 3. We have a 38 nautical mile flight from Sierra Echo Echo Gillespie Field to Oscar Kilo Bravo Oceanside. Both of those are freeware airports and are fantastic. I'll put the link in the video details so that you too can enjoy them. We need to navigate the San Diego Bravo, and we're going to use a VFR Flyway to do it. So we'll talk about what that looks like when we do the flight brief. Let's hop into the pilot seat and get started. Both airports are in Southern California. Gillespie Field is a Class Delta nestled under the San Diego Class Bravo, and Oceanside is an untowered field which is near a Class Delta and restricted space. As we sit in the Piper Arrow, notice anything different? That's right, head tracking. I finally got TrackIR and I love it. Flying with us today is my buddy Floyd, and if I lean and look past Floyd, you can see where we just had breakfast, which is Gillespie Field Cafe. I had the Gillespie burrito, and Floyd had the California omelet. Floyd, what'd you think of the omelet? I think Floyd ate too much. We're gonna just let him digest there for a bit. So let's get ourselves started. And we've got head tracking, so we can just look around. Fuel selector is to left, our mixture's to idle cutoff. Going down here, we could see the circuit breakers are all in, our parking brake is set. We'll check out our trim, and that is set to take off. Looks good. So let's come back up here and we'll get our window opened. I usually use shortcut keys for all of this, and being able to physically move around the cockpit is just awesome. So next we'll head over here and we'll get our battery on. We got 3 green for the gear lights, that all looks good. We got to get our prop to full forward. We'll crack the throttle 1/8 of an inch. Head back up to our window, make sure that the prop is clear. Looks good. Clear prop. We'll turn on the fuel pump. Get the mixture up to full rich. We'll verify that we have fuel flow. We'll bring the mixture to idle cutoff and turn the fuel pump off. And then we'll crack the mixture a little bit. Keys are in the ignition, and we'll turn it over to start. Now we'll bring the mixture into full rich. RPMs a little over 1,000. We'll verify that we have oil pressure. We do. Everything looks good. Now I'll head back over here and we'll lean the mixture for ground operations. Okay, we've got ground dialed in and we'll get tower on standby. And we're going to do flight following for this. We'll be using a VFR Flyway, so we'll talk about that when we do the flight plan. Let's give ground call. Gillespie ground. Piper 709 Bravo Tango with information India requests flight following destination Oscar Kilo Bravo Oceanside at 4,500. Okay, remain clear. San Diego Class Bravo, departure frequency 124.35, squawk 2313, Piper 709 Bravo Tango.
Good morning, Gillespie ground.
Let's open up Foreflight and I'll take you through what we're doing. We are using a different chart today. This is a VFR Flyway chart instead of a sectional chart. You can see we're going to fly west until we get to the coast and then fly north to Oceanside. If we zoom in, Gillespie Field is a Class Delta with airspace going from surface to 2,400. It's underneath the San Diego Bravo, which starts at 4,800. You can see a blue line that says 4,500 and below. That's the Flyway. So it's telling me if I fly at 4,500 and below along this course, I won't go into the Bravo. Now I do have another Class Delta to my west at 2,900, which is Montgomery. So we're going to fly south on departure towards Mount Helix to get up our altitude to at least 2,900, climb to 4,500 so we can overfly their airspace. We're going to head for Snapdragon Stadium and then turn and head visually for Mount Soledad. So those are all nice visual waypoints that we can go from point A to point B just with our eyeballs. Just south of the stadium, the Bravo airspace starts at the surface, so we need to remain north of the stadium to avoid drifting into that and busting the Bravo. From the stadium, we head to Mount Soledad, and then we follow the shoreline. The next chunk of Bravo airspace is two-tiered from 1800 to 3200 and 6800 to 10,000. So our VFR Flyway is actually a section carved out between those two layers. So as long as we stay at 4500, we're good. Then we'll pass Palomar and a power plant, and that'll bring us right to Oceanside. Gillespie ground, 709 Bravo Tango at the cafe, taxi with India. Taxi Delta 1 run-up area via Alpha Delta Delta 1 709 Bravo Tango. Alright, we are clear on the left. Clear on the right. We'll get our taxi light on. Release the brakes. And we're on our way. And here once again is where head tracking is just awesome. I can turn my head and look and see which way I'm turning. In the background, as always, you're listening to live ATC net for this field. I love to fly this way in the sim. You get to hear actual ATC calls, and if you're practicing ATC communications, the great way to learn is just to listen to them. While we're taxiing, I'll tell you a story about the first time I requested flight following from a towered field. I was on my long dual cross country, and it was the end of my first stop at Reading Field. I just started up the plane, I was getting ready to go, and I gave ground a call and requested flight following. And they didn't respond to my flight following request, they just immediately gave me taxi instructions, which kind of threw me. So I started taxiing, and then as I was en route, following kind of complicated taxi instructions, then they started giving me all of my flight following information, so I'm trying to write on my kneeboard while I'm trying to figure out where I'm going taxiing. It's my first long dual cross country, and I was a little bit frazzled. If there's one skill you really develop from flight lessons, it's multitasking. So we'll pull over here in the run-up area, we'll do our flight controls. We'll go aileron down, aileron up, that's moving correctly. Rudder pedal left, rudder pedal right, that all looks good. Now we can peer down here, get our mixture to full rich, bring our throttle up to 2000 RPM, and do our mag check. And I love that I can just crouch down here just like in the real plane without having to switch camera views. Alright, we're at 2000, mag left. I can see and hear the drop. Back to center. Mag right. Looks good, same amount of drop. Back to center. Now we'll head over to here and we'll get our strobes on. We've already got our transponder squawking alt. And ground just gave us a continue to continue and hold short, runway 9 left. I love all the detail of this freeware airport and all of the signs that you'll encounter as you're taxiing around. Alright, here's our hold short. Okay, let's switch over to tower frequency and give them a call. Gillespie Tower, Piper 709 Bravo Tango holding short, runway 9 left. Cleared for departure, runway 9 left, Piper 709 Bravo Tango. Alright, everything is clear on final. Runway is clear. Windsock is showing a variable wind with a slight crosswind now and then. Nothing too crazy. As we're getting underway, quick update from my real-life flight lessons, and the update is that there's no update. The weather has been awful. We've had snow and wind, so I've had lessons canceled, and we're just struggling. So I enjoyed the luxury of the summer when I had multiple lessons a week. The winter is like a trickle for lessons, so I'm moving in slow motion. But I've got one more lesson on short and soft field landings with my instructor, and then I've got to complete my stage check with the chief flight instructor. And if he's happy with that, then I get to do my long solo cross country, which will be 150 nautical miles to 3 airports, one of which will be towered. I had cameras set up in my last lesson, so if you missed my last flight video here on YouTube, be sure to check it out. You can see in-flight video both inside of the airplane and outside as I practiced landings.
Turkey 15 uniform frequency change approved.
Taking off on runway 9 actually helped us today because it took us out to the east, which gave us plenty of time to build up altitude. That's Route 67 that we're passing over.
November 015, traffic right downwind, beam the tower on a right downwind departure, Cessna climbing out of 1,900.
So 100-015, that's traffic in sight.
You can see the football field, that's Harry Griffin Park, and beyond that is Interstate 8. Just beyond that will be the San Diego Bravo. That interchange is 125 and 8, so we are right on track. As we level out at 4,500, you can see Lake Murray ahead, which is one of the visual waypoints called out on the VFR Flyway map. Because we have flight following, we've been handed off from tower to SoCal approach, so they'll give us traffic advisories en route. We're in cruise, so we'll adjust the throttle and prop for our cruise settings. And we are on track. Next thing to look out for is Snapdragon Stadium. Keep an eye out. Alright, that was a lot of fun. We had some complex airspace to manage, but it turned out alright. I landed pretty flat with the Piper Arrow. I am still trying to figure out how to land the Arrow in the sim, but I'll get it. Practice makes perfect. So if you enjoy content like this, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thanks, as always, for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.